Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot, and in this video I'm going to show you 5 hidden or underrated FMC features that are very useful in line operation, but that are hardly known amongst flight simmers. I bet that most of you will at least not be aware or not be regularly using at least 3 of the features in this video, so do let me know in the comments below how you like it. Alright, let's get straight into it. Feature number 1. The power of the FMC to edit the route and place waypoints pretty much anywhere you want them to be. So, let's have a look into this approach. We are coming here from the southeast and we have to fly all around the airport in order to make our landing. Chances, however, are that ATC is going to cut us short. So, let's do a little bit of FMC magic to see what ATC might do with us and to plan for that in order to get a proper vertical path prediction. Normally, when you're arriving at Cologne, they vector you about along the 10-mile ring. So what we can do up here, we have a look at the Delta Kilo 417 point up here, and we might just about fly a little bit further out. So let's take Delta Kilo 416 and create a waypoint that's some 5 miles in front of it. We do that by taking Delta Kilo 416 /-5, and now when we insert this, we are going to get a new waypoint along the route that is 5 miles ahead of the waypoint where we want to go. Now we can do the same as expecting our vectors to final by taking a waypoint halfway between leg 2 and Delta Kilo 455. So let's take leg 2 /-2, and now we've got a waypoint that is about halfway in between. So let's join those waypoints up and use that to get our VNAV path more accurate. So we'll take leg 01 and place it beyond the Delta Kilo 401 up here. And like that, we can see the FMC is now estimating the shortest possible way that I am reasonably expecting from air traffic control. Now, if we just have a look at the waypoints in front, we can see, for example, that we now get the waypoint Vipper over here at flight level 74. Do note that I've not executed this yet, because we want to keep the route that ATC has cleared us for in the FMC. But what I can do, I can click on this to copy the restrictions that we had up here. Now I click Erase, which basically brings back the original routing, and I insert this over here, execute it, and now we are prepared for a shorter approach, while at the same point still having the full routing in. And this, my friends, is a lovely Microsoft Flight Simulator wind gust. That is not a hidden feature in the FMC, that is a simple bug in Microsoft Flight Simulator. You do make a difference. Let's continue with feature number 2. Preparing our descent. Most flight simmers just go to the descent page, enter the forecast and request the descent winds. However, if we do this, it's going to give us the winds from flight level 250 onwards, but we have quite a large part of the descent actually above that. So here is what we can do to make our life a little bit simpler. Now, try the following. We've just requested our winds, let's load up what we got, and as you can see we've got level 250, 150 and 6000. But let's erase that for a second, and let's actually take some higher altitude winds. So let's take flight level 300, flight level 200 and flight level 100. If we execute this, and now we press the descent wind request, the FMC is going to request the descent winds for the altitudes that we have just entered. And like this, we are preparing the FMC for a complete vertical path covering pretty much anything there is. Keep in mind, at our present altitude, it takes the wind from the sensors, and then for the descent, it is going to take the forecast wind. So here's our forecast. We're going to load that one up. And here we go. Now we've got the correct forecast winds in, and it also uplinks the ISA deviation for us. Let's continue with feature number 3. I'm sure most of you see this regularly, but don't really use it. And that is the prediction of the vertical speed required in order to make your next waypoint and altitude constraint. We've just received an ATC instruction to reach flight level 250 at UMDAS. This came pretty late, so we are high above the profile. But here's what we can do. In the FMC, on the waypoint and altitude tab, as soon as we've entered flight level 250 below at UMDAS, the thing is going to give us waypoint UMDAS level 250 and the vertical speed required, which in our case is 3,600 feet a minute. So we can easily tell that if we are going to maintain more than 3,500 feet a minute, we will be able to make our restriction even though we are currently 2,700 feet above the path. Now you will say, well, but you can just also use the range to altitude arc, can you? Well, that's correct, provided our cleared altitude actually equals the altitude that matches the constraint, which is not always the case. So that is how this feature proves very useful over here to make sure that you meet the demanded vertical speed to make a waypoint restriction. Note that you can also change this into literally anything you want. So let's say we want to know, for example, which vertical speed are we going to need to make our runway. So let's enter runway 14 left and enter 350 feet. And now you will see that we need a constant descent at 1,400 feet a minute in order to make our rate of descent to reach for that path. Quite a useful feature, especially when being vectored around. Let's continue with feature number 4. We are just leveling off at the intermittent altitude constraints that we previously had, and this is a realistic clearance. So air traffic control on the way into Cologne would usually tell you flight level 250 at UMDAS, which as you can see is quite far out from the airport. However, here's the problem. If you now level off at this flight level, the FMC is going to predict a geometric path descent, which is basically a constant vertical speed all the way down to Cologne. So it just wants to descend, which is not the optimal profile. You can also see the target speed reducing as we maintain our altitude. So in order to get rid of that geometric descent path, you can simply enter flight level 250 as a new altitude constraint, and doing that, the thing is going to compute a new top of descent for you. Here we go. Now it's computed a new VNAV cruise, assuming 250 as the new cruising level, and now it computes the optimal speed for this flight level and the new top of descent for later on. Welcome to hidden feature number 5. ATC have just screwed us over. We have been re-cleared for a different runway, this time runway 24, and because we don't really have any good route, ATC has just cleared us direct to a waypoint that is near the airport. In the example of Cologne, something that you can realistically expect is a direct towards Wipper VOR. As you can see, however, that is on the opposite side of the center line, so if we are going to execute this, which we are going to do because we need to fly there, then our VNAV profile is basically getting screwed. Just look at this, indicating us we are much too low now, but it would assume that we fly there first, then back to here, and then back to the final. So that is basically screwing the VNAV profile. However, here is what we can do to fix this. We need to fly direct to Whiskey Yankee Papa VOR. Fair enough. But we don't need to have that in the FMC. Instead, what we can do is we can create a waypoint on the intersection of our route up here and the course towards that VOR. So here is how you can do that. We're going to take the final approach fix, and now we enter the outbound radial from this. So we enter the radial from Phuket on which we want our waypoint to be. So logically, we want this to be on the opposite of the runway course. The runway course is 242, so let's enter Phuket 062. And now we take the VOR that we're currently flying to, we take / Whiskey Yankee Papa, and now we need the opposite of our current inbound course. We're going on 311 inbound, and if you subtract 180 from that, we get 131. So let's take Whiskey Yankee Papa 131, so that in the end, in the scratchpad, it reads the next waypoint with the outbound radial / the other waypoint, once again with the radial that we're on. So let's insert this onto the number 1 page, and now we can see we've got a new waypoint created over here. If we now take the final approach fix and put this beyond the new waypoint that we've just created and execute this, we are still flying directly towards Whiskey Yankee Papa VOR, so we are meeting our ATC clearance. However, at the same point, we now get a valid VNAV path prediction As we can see we're currently a little bit high, so let's go ahead and correct for that by using the speed brake. Alright, here it's a little bonus feature. I'm using it as a bonus because it is a little debated in real life if you should use this or not. But let's talk about what it is first of all. We've just prepared our next sector with the departure from Cologne, runway 14 left, and we've used the fix page to mark our engine out procedure, which would be straight ahead to 6 DME from Kilo India Delta, and then a left turn direct Whiskey Yankee Papa VOR, hold at 360 left turns, climbing to 4,000 feet. So we can mark that route without any problems, and we can draw that little radial to draw the inbound turn towards Whiskey Yankee Papa. That's all nice, but the holding later on is going to get a bit more complex, and seeing that we are going to use this in case of an engine failure, we want things to be as simple as possible. So here is what you can do. You go to the legs page and to the very last page, and over here we are now going to enter the holding fix for the engine out procedure, in our case Whiskey Yankee Papa VOR. Now obviously if you just executed it like this, you can see the FMC draws the line to it, etc. So that is not really useful for us. But if we now go ahead and enter some random waypoint over here, it's going to create a discontinuity before the waypoint we've just entered. Now we delete that new waypoint again, and now we've got the route discontinuity over here. And like that, you can see the dashed white line of the route in modification has also disappeared. So if we are going to execute this, we now have the holding fix at the end of the page. We can go to holding, and now we can enter the holding on the FMC, not only putting the inbound course and the turn direction in, but we can also use this to put our minimum safe altitude in here as a reminder. So in our case, we can say 3,800 is the MSA, so we want to climb at least to an altitude of 4,000 feet. Execute this, and now we can see we've got the holding drawn over here on the navigation display. So if we need to do this, if we need to fly this engine out procedure, then what we can do is we climb straight ahead until that 6 DME point over here, and then we simply take the holding fix from the end, copy it to the beginning of the legs page, and then we can simply use LNAV mode in order to navigate to that waypoint and enter the holding over there without having to worry about any holding entries or anything else that would otherwise be complicated. On top of that, since we have a discontinuity here at the back of the flight plan, we can see that the FMC does not take that distance to this waypoint into the predictions for both the mileage, the estimated time of arrival, and the fuel at the destination. So we basically tricked the FMC into getting that holding fix without screwing up the remainder of our calculations. So that was it, the 5+1 features that I'm sure most of you have maybe heard about, but were pretty surely not familiar with using them on a regular basis. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this one, and if you learned something new, then let me know which of these points you knew about and which of these points you did not really know about before. As always, if you want to support the channel, you can do that through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below, or by becoming a channel member, which is going to give you exclusive early access to new videos from business class membership onwards, and in first class membership even the ability to request your own videos. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again very soon.